You told yourself you'd start today. You planned it. You knew exactly what needed to be done. But when the moment came, you hesitated, you delayed, you negotiated with yourself until the intention dissolved into nothing. And now you're here again, watching another video, looking for another answer. Because deep down, you know the truth. Your mind doesn't obey you. It should, but it doesn't. Most people live their entire lives fighting this battle and losing. They know what they should do, but they don't do it. They want discipline, but they can't hold it. They crave control, but they're controlled by their own thoughts, emotions, and excuses. This isn't laziness. This is something deeper. It's a war you're losing every single day, against yourself. If this resonates, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to learn will change the way you see your own mind forever. And if you stay until the end, I'll give you one task, a warrior's task, that will prove whether your mind obeys you or still commands you. Let's begin. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did exactly what you planned to do? Without hesitation, without excuses, without convincing yourself. For most people, that moment is rare. And that's the problem. You wake up with intention. You set goals. You know what needs to happen. But between knowing and doing, something breaks. You hesitate. You overthink. You feel tired, distracted, unmotivated. And before you realize it, the day is over, and nothing changed. This cycle repeats day after day, week after week, until you begin to believe that's just how you are. That discipline is for other people. That your mind will never truly listen. But here's the truth most people never realize. Your mind isn't broken. It's untrained. You've been negotiating with it your entire life. Every time you hesitate, your mind learns it can resist you. Every time you delay, it learns it doesn't have to obey. Every time you give in to distraction or comfort, you strengthen its authority and weaken yours. You think the problem is motivation. It's not. You think the problem is willpower. It's not. The problem is that your mind has been conditioned to ignore you, and unless you recondition it, nothing will change. This is where most self-improvement advice fails. It tells you to stay motivated or build better habits. But motivation fades. Habits break. Because they don't address the root, the relationship between you and your mind. Miyamoto Musashi understood this deeply. He wasn't just a swordsman. He was a philosopher of self-mastery. And his approach to discipline wasn't about inspiration or tricks. It was about training the mind to obey instantly. Not eventually. Not when you feel like it. Instantly. Because in battle, hesitation means death. And in life, hesitation means mediocrity. Musashi knew that the warrior who controls his mind controls his fate. The one who doesn't loses before the fight even begins. So let's break this down. Let's understand what it actually means to train your mind to obey you. And more importantly, how to do it. Musashi wrote in the Book of 5 Rings, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." This line isn't poetic, it's tactical. Most people do the opposite. They think deeply of themselves, their fears, their feelings, their doubts, and lightly of the world. They obsess over how they feel in the moment, whether they're ready, whether conditions are perfect. And because of this, they never act. Musashi flipped this. He trained himself to act without internal negotiation. He saw hesitation not as caution, but as weakness. Because hesitation is where the mind takes control. Think about it. When you hesitate, what's really happening? You're asking your mind for permission. You're waiting for it to feel ready. You're hoping motivation will arrive and push you forward. But your mind will never give you permission. It's designed to keep you safe, comfortable, and conserving energy. That's its job. And if you wait for it to agree with you, you'll wait forever. This is the core principle Musashi lived by. The mind is not your advisor. It's your tool. You don't ask a sword if it wants to swing. You don't consult your legs before you walk. And you shouldn't negotiate with your mind before you act. You decide. You move. The mind follows. But here's the problem. Most people have inverted this relationship. Their mind decides, their emotions move, and they follow, reluctantly, inconsistently, or not at all. Musashi's philosophy was simple. Reverse this. Train the mind to obey the moment you decide. Not 5 minutes later. Not after you feel like it. Instantly. This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. It's about reaching a state where your decisions are executed without internal resistance. Where action is automatic. Where discipline isn't something you struggle for, it's something you embody. And the way you get there is through immediate obedience. The first principle is this. Act the moment you decide. Not later. Not after you think about it. Not after you prepare mentally. The instant you know what must be done, you do it. This sounds simple, but it's the hardest thing most people will ever try to practice. Because the gap between decision and action is where your mind fights back. It throws doubt. It reminds you of past failures. It suggests waiting, resting, starting on tomorrow. And if you listen, even for a second, you've already lost. Musashi trained this principle relentlessly. His strikes were immediate. His decisions in combat were instant. He didn't deliberate. He didn't second guess. He moved from thought to action without pause. And this wasn't natural talent. It was trained. Every time you delay, you train delay. Every time you hesitate, you train hesitation. But every time you act immediately, you train obedience. Your mind learns, when I decide, I move. No discussion, no debate. And over time, hesitation disappears. Because your mind stops offering resistance, it learns that resistance is pointless. It learns that you will act regardless, and eventually it stops fighting. This is how warriors are built, not through motivation, through repetition of immediate action. So here's what you do. Tomorrow morning, the moment your alarm goes off, stand up. No snooze, no negotiation, no 5 more minutes. Decide before you sleep that when the alarm sounds, you will rise. And then rise. That one act will teach your mind more than 100 motivational videos ever could. Because in that moment, you prove to yourself, I am in command. The second principle is this. Cut the unnecessary. Musashi's strategy was built on simplicity. No wasted movement. No excess thought. Every action had purpose. Every strike had clarity. He wrote, you must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. But he also understood that overthinking which path to take keeps you at the bottom. Most people drown in options. They analyze endlessly. They weigh pros and cons until the decision loses all momentum. And by the time they're ready to move, the opportunity is gone. This is the trap of the modern mind. It's overstimulated, overloaded.